Think fascial lines, you're going to be like, no, Tom, he's fallen down the fascia trap. No. We are back. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing if you haven't already. And if you've enjoyed the content so far, we've gone from Keeley, we've seen Femke Bol, we've seen some outrageous NFL athletes, and yeah, some questionable throwing actions from a ridiculously good baseballer. Now we're going to go into the world of golf. I know you've all been wanting it. To be fair, there's quite a few people who requested golf, and I'm going to be looking at Rory in the future. But today we are gonna we'll save the Rory episode for the Masters weekend, shall we? Yeah, I haven't even introduced myself. I'm Coach Tom Hall, S&C, biomechanics, coach of about 12, 13 years, coach a lot of other coaches, and the whole point of this is to see whether we can take any athletic-based training from the world of different high-performance athletes that are winning week in, week out, and the best of what they can do. And is it a little bit different from your 3x12 bodybuilder workout that we're going to be seeing at Pure Gym? Yeah, probably. And we can layer it in and put it into our own training and maybe our clients' training if you're a coach that's watching this. So today, without further ado, let's watch some Cam Smith, a defected golfer to the Live Tour, no less. So one thing I'll caveat about golf training, sometimes they get a little bit too rabbit holey. I mean, they kind of get a little bit too sport specific. And if you've seen my stuff before, I have a general kind of an 80-20 rule of where 80% of it will look pretty similar. It's just intensities, depends on where position of the season you're in or what sport you're doing, and 20% of it will be sport specific. Okay, so for golf, if we did a little needs analysis, obviously I'll show you how to do that. We might look at rotation, ground reaction force, and one of the key indicators that we might be looking for with our golf training. So far, there's nothing that I think is horrendous, which is good. Cam Smith seems a really good guy, a bit of a bogan, I think. Call him a bogan, can we? But then we start dabbling into some other stuff, don't we? Other stuff. Nice. There's his coach. So nothing absolutely horrendous. He's sweaty. He's had a good fun time. Look at that. And we're getting even, he's even walking out. We're even videoing him walking out the gym. I think that was unnecessary, wasn't it? So, and I grabbed that from TikTok. Lovely. All right. So that was pretty good, actually. There was nothing horrendous. But let's scroll it back. Let's reel it in. Let's see what's going on. We'll try to explain, because there's a lot in there, right? That was a full. I think that's the first video of a full session that we've been able to see. Maybe, just maybe, is there too much in this session? I think probably. All right, so let's get this going. So pretty simple there, isn't it? If we scroll back, pretty simple. I tend not to teach this. Anybody who's come to my seminars before, I will say that it's kind of a waste of time doing your warm-ups on a bike. But he's a pro athlete, he's got the time, okay? It's a waste of time when you don't have the time, essentially. If you're time poor, you work in an office, you're in and out, you've got to be done in 60 minutes, whatever, 45 minutes to get back to your desk job or to pick up the kids or whatever. There are better ways to utilize that time than to sit on a bike, a low intensity, very low impact kind of way of raising your heart rate. There's nothing against it. I just think it's a kind of a substandard way of warming up if we didn't do this stuff, okay? So straight away, this is cool. Overhead squat with one of those little bands, which is pretty good. He pretty much hits depth, probably all the depth that he's got. So, and we're maintaining this nice position. If anybody's done the overhead squat assessment, I can't remember who it's by now. Is it just CSCS or SFMA or some sort of acronym that I can't really remember? It might be the UKSCA. If you Google UKSCA overhead squat assessment, you'll know the burden that was on our lives when we first come through S&C, the overactive, underactive model. But this is pretty legit. He's pretty good there. Okay, so pretty general warm up. We'll go through there. Boom. Cool. Forward lunge with a little rotation. So he's starting to segment. Big fan of those. Big fan of those. And mini band kind of work. So he'll cycle through, I reckon, 2 sets of these, or 1 set of like 10 to 15 each. So he goes through his overhead squat, then into a forward lunge, and big note on forward lunges or reverse lunges. I don't mind it, to be fair. I prefer reverse lunges generally, just because of the shear force that comes through your patella tendon here. But he's an elite athlete, doesn't really matter. If you're training Betty, who's 65, who's overweight, probably stick the reverse lunge in, okay? So rotation, we will want everything from, if you think fascial lines, you're gonna be like, no, tough. He's fallen down the fascia trap. No, when you rotate, you should rotate into the hip, which is flexed, okay? So this is an extension. So you've got this fascial line that's gonna come all the way up here, and then we're dragging from this flexion, so this flexed hip, so it's nice and stretched, and it'll go fascial line up to sling pattern, up to this bit, and you'll get this nice rotating effect, and you'll pull across from the left hip, which is the opposite one here, all the way up to the right shoulder as you rotate, okay? When you rotate towards me, if he was going towards me, not really doing much, okay? It's just opening up that other hip, okay? So we wanna rotate into something called internal rotation. Beautiful. And these, meh, little crab walks, I used to do them quite a lot actually with my clients, but I've kind of gone off them. I think the squat is doing as good a job as this, if I'm honest, okay? Right, so that would be his kind of dynamic mobility section. Cool. All right, Medball, I guess that's a primer. I don't know whether these in order. This is what I'm caveing at. So I've got to know, I don't really know whether, I'm assuming it's probably in season or just in the off season. Yeah, I don't know. For the box jump, generally speaking, the weight in, I haven't got an issue with. The load in, that's fine. But I'd just say this might be too high for him. Because considering, it depends what we're trying to do it for. I think he's trying to potentiate, okay? If we're taking this as gospel and he's trying to potentiate himself by doing a hard explosive movement before he goes into his back squats, which looks like he's about to do, I would say that he's probably, I don't know whether he wants deep hip flexion. So your takeoff and landing position should be the same. He's landed here, which is in a beautiful deep squat, but he is certainly not taken off there. His takeoff is there. Okay, if he landed in this position, sound, but he's way deeper. His butt is like, boom, right down there. So essentially his jump is actually probably only sort of like this bit on the box if he was going to jump to that other section, position, okay? So, meh, give him a lower box, make him more rigid and upright and springy if he's going to go through it. If the intent was to do something called a deep tier, so that spongy aspect of where he's trying to go into his hips, that's cool, but I'd separate it. I wouldn't do it in both times. So meh on that. And then yeah, straight into a back squat. I think again, you don't know whether he's purposely going to that depth. You just don't know, right? Chances are probably. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but if we're going to full range, I nearly always, I did it today, I literally just came out of a session today and I put I put one of these plates and then I put a medicine ball on it. And I was like, you are squatting to that depth. That is what's happening, okay? So I would always give us a target to squat to, because it might even be like, on here, raise these safeties up and get him to go where the barbell needs to almost touch it. I've got no issue with that. Put these here, if that was a case of depth. If he's only half squatting or quarter squatting, whatever it is, cool. But I don't think he's moving fast enough. back to the box jumps. So he's doing something which is called probably a contrast set. Okay, so we do heavy followed by light mechanical movement, which is pretty like Route 1 TPI, which is the like performance people of golf. It's absolutely fine. I just probably wouldn't load it, and I might just do normal other jumps or something else other than the box jump. He's a pretty good athlete, I think. Well, he's pretty good at golf, so maybe. There could be better options, but we don't know. My biases would be like, all right, we'll pin squat you, because I feel like that's meh, and then we'll do some like better jumps. Cool. Right. Boom. Nice. I like these. And then I'm assuming probably paired with, considering that was moving as well. So we'll look at both of these ones. All right. So this is a landmine push press to rotation. Okay. So he's rotating and then he's squaring up, which is pretty cool because it's kind of the direction when you maybe hit in a big drive. You'll notice on the left side, if he's right-handed, the left side, the open side, will tend to open up, which is essentially what this is trying to achieve and trying to generate power and force on hitting up on the ball. All right, so I like these. Definitely would do for golf. They're a big thing for me. All right, I do a lot of landmine punches, landmine split jerks, landmine pull to pushes. Big fan. And the way it's loaded is quite safe and not too crazy overhead. The pairing here, just a curtsey lunge. I've got no issues with this at all. I think for guys, generally, girls will do these for their hips anyway. So we've got an anterior load, so he's got that 15 kilo plate. And then for guys, it's probably a good thing because he's gonna get a lot of stretch around his hip, which is what he needs. Golfers need mobile hips. Shock. Because they need to rotate and segment their bodies pretty rapidly, okay? So that means their torso maybe has to be disconnected sometimes to their hips, be able to turn with it, all right? Cool. More of the punches. Nice. I think he'll be doing like lots of supersets, which I'm a massive fan at. And he puts his hat on, which I'm also a massive fan at. All right. Those two are ropey, aren't they, Cammy? I'd say. This one, don't mind it. He's literally doing it off a stepper, I think. Proves you don't have to do it on the rack or any treadmill or anything like that. It's fine. You can just do where we need to. It's just a bit rushed. And if the purpose is to lock in and not let his shoulder out, so there is the low point, and stay rigid, fine. I don't think it is. I think I would prefer him to rotate and let his shoulder blade like upwardly rotate and go down into as much kind of stretch into that lat as possible, maybe in that T-spine. I would tend to teach that. I don't teach a lot of let's stay rigid and just move our arm like Cam is doing there. And here we can already see that even from this angle, right, I would expect that torso position to be higher if he was maintaining the form that I want him to, especially with the weight on his back, okay? I don't think that tabletop, I want a flat tabletop, not a slopey tabletop. I think that's one for, yeah. Thinking that position, bueno. Other one, not too much. I think he's gonna repeat it again because they tend to. I'm seeing a pattern here. I'm seeing a pattern. They're all supersetting. So we'll go through the full session and describe the subsections as well because it's very similar to how I would put stuff together. Yeah, there we go. I'm not a particular fan of the straight into T-spine extension. I want him to maybe breathe out and just go locked in. So we call this a canister position. So he's not in that. So I would want a can of Coke. If you think a can of Coke, the top bit and the bottom bit would be there. I'm gonna run and get one. Hello. Right, we have a can of Fanta. Sorry, definitely not sponsored. But if we think this is a canister, okay, the strongest positions on this, if we think rib cage would be here and hips and the bottom of the rib cage would be here, okay? we can push down on that really rigidly. As soon as we cave either way of that can, then the chances of this being rigid and taking a lot of force is very slim, so we could crush it in the middle. I'm not going to do this because it's a full can. So I would teach that during this position, and I think that would make him probably stronger, and it would be a nicer, cleaner rep. Okay? So it's not horrendous, but it's not the best. Right, these are cool. Normal for golfers to do these, all right? So these are, I believe, like an SLDL, kind of a hip airplanes, which are very cool. So the coaching cue on those, I think he's been just a bit too quick, if I'm honest. I don't think it's sped up. We can slow it down though, can't we? So in this position, so his coaching cue should be, so he's got on this hip is the one that's moving around the capsule, and on the other hip, we're trying to get that all the way to the sky, okay? So he's rotating up, and then I would ask on this, when he comes down, I would tend not to come out of it. I'd be here, and I would try to get this hip as close to the ground and down, so you get this really cool, like internally rotating thing going on. It's a bit gnarly, but I would preference that. But he's doing a little segment, I think. So on the second one, he goes into an RDL pattern, and then he's trying to move his shoulders. I take it all back. He's doing an airplane, but shoulder. He's trying to move his T-spine. See how he's segmenting? So his head is his cervical spine, right? See how he's trying to segment and move his T-spine, so his thorax around his cervical spine. So if I was to move my shoulders round here, but keep looking at you, I look pretty weird, but I can do it, okay? Because in golf, when we go back, we're trying to obtain that position, but we're not moving our head with the club, okay? Cool. All right, hips. Very basic 1990s. I'm assuming we're gonna see it again. Just a little peek. Oh, we didn't see it again. I can't remember what they're called now. 1990 hip flexions. Very cool, very simple. Internal rotate here. You might get like a TFL spark up over here, not obviously on his arm, underneath it. Internally rotate, and then you get a big stretch over here. The idea is being that you're able to stay really, really upright throughout, and then just shift to one side. So you're literally just rolling your feet over, which is really cool. Yeah, he does it pretty well. I'd want him to extend his chest a little bit more, if I can be picky. Which I can be, it's my channel. Go. These are just eyes, wise, tees, right? Eyes, tees, wise. Really traditional. This is like stuff I learned. Well, I didn't learn it. It's stuff that's been around for 20, 25 years, okay? Which is fine. Absolutely fine. Eyes, wise, tees, just lots of like posterior delt into scapula, shoulder blade, all that kind of good stuff. And he gives him his towel. I don't take my athletes' towels. I make them put them in the thing themselves, which is pretty bad by me, innit? All right, good session. But I'd like just to donate. I'm not donating. Show you what the sections are. Okay, so we've got warm up, heart rate raise. So subsection 1. Okay, see if we can devise these. So 1, how this is perfectly set out, and how you could go away and devise your session yourself. So that, and then we've got, this is probably movement preparation or mobility. I tend to wind the two. So movement prep, mobility. Okay, number 2. Then we move into power, I would say. He might do something else with this, but I don't think he did. So it's power and strength, maybe. I would probably do the power section separately, maybe doing some like with those medball jumps. He might do a medball throw of sorts, but he's got the power and strength stuff, so he's got a power contrast set. Okay, so it's subsection. This is the A series. This is the main point of the session, I think. Okay, which is cool. All right, so he's gone warm up on the bike. He's gone movement prep, mobility, and now he's in the A series. So his main thing is his squats, lower A series, and then we've got upper, I think, rotational B series. Cool with that. Okay, so he's obviously looking at like hip endurance essentially. Strength endurance is what he's trying to achieve there, and just power. I would probably, I realise I'm not counting this S&C, but I would put these in the warm, not the movement prep section, but in between. So I'd move this bit up there. I don't think it's going to be detrimental to what he does in the split squat. I think this power bit is probably going to be better sit there because he's going to be fresher and he's going to generate more power, what he's trying to achieve there. I would reorder this slightly. So this is power section. It should be in front of his his strength section. Hat on. Then we've gone, we were upper, weren't we? Okay, so upper push pull. That's his C. This is C section, C series. So superset again, superset everything. I think this guy can't bother to be in the gym for that long. And then I think the last bit is just resilience, mobility, whatever it be. So similar to how I would program, I do resilience, mobility, specific drills, which is what this is, okay? So specific drills, he might be struggling or having that kind of feeling. He needs a little bit more turn in his hips and his T-spine, which is probably the biggest two things that he needs to focus on when in his swing, which is really cool. Nice, and then this is just a little bang for buck thing at the end. He could have been doing arms for like through there. So yeah, amazing. Bye Cam. Thanks for showing me your gym session. Amazing. Perfect. All right guys, that was really good actually. It was all right. I think he is not, like I've said before, you're not winning at the gym. Those things can be done better and he may be a better athlete when he wants to do it, but he's a golfer, number one. And the gym is just making him a little bit better. And I reckon that's a long way from where golf S&C used to be, just in terms of just loading. But we'll see some better form for some better golfers going forwards. But it all in all, I think that was pretty passable. The sections were correct. They were kind of put out pretty well. And considering the S&C of golf is catching up, and he didn't spend a load of time going down these little rabbit hole movements that really won't benefit him that much at all, because he needs to work on his whole full body strength before any of that stuff happens and maintain and bring that up, because just being a better, powerful athlete will help him in the long run, and he's not going to lose any of his golf touch whatsoever. That does not happen. Being powerful will be amazing. Okay, I'll give you a little sneaky peek that the biggest key indicator for these guys for when they train will be vertical jump height. They will need to train that and get really big. You can have that for free. Amazing. All right, we'll be back with probably some Rory, probably some Sydney McLaughlin, probably some Noah Lyles, and comment down below who else you want to see the training of. We'll catch you next time.